This week I'm going to give you a quick tip on mold making because Shad Rogers asked, how do you make the indexing bumps for each side of the rubber shell? Well, I call these mold keys, and there's two types. So today I'm going to explain those, why you need them, and I'm going to explain how you can make both types of mold keys. You will want to know this because mold making is very complex, and as you know, if you screw up the mold, you have to start all over from the beginning. This is the Longhorn sculpture completed in bronze metal, and I'll be putting out the full video on sculpting, molding, and casting this piece here in the near future, so subscribe if you want to see that. But let me tell you, this was a very complex piece to mold. So if you take a look here, this clay around the sculpture is called the mold dam. And yes, it looks pretty simple carving in those little index bumps, or mold keys as I call them. But the thing is, there's two layers to the mold, the rubber and the plaster shell. So you see these mold keys here are actually going to fit into the plaster shell, while the ones on the inside are going to fit onto the other layer of rubber. So there's two layers of rubber, and then there's two pieces of plaster shell. Let me back up a little bit to the first step. The clay dam contains the liquid rubber, and that's where I carved those keys into. Then that rubber is put on different layers. That's the first layer. Next I'll put a layer with some thickener on, and then I cover that with plaster. That's the hard shell that keeps the rubber in place. After the mold cures, I flip over the piece and I apply the other side by repeating those steps. And you can see the keys right there. Putting any sort of grease or Vaseline on the cured rubber will prevent the new layer of rubber from sticking to it. That way, when it's all cured, I can open it up, like so. So all the mold keys in the rubber will keep all these pieces together. That way I can piece them back together, and then I have a cavity to pour my wax into. Let's take a look at this small mold here. You see negative and positive mold keys. Okay, you can carve in the clay to make the positive keys, but if you want to make those negative keys, what you'll need is a key tray, and I'll show you that here in a second. First, take a look here. I just use a curved end wire end tool like that, and I just simply carve in about halfway down the indentation of a sphere. And once the rubber goes into that spot, it's actually going to go into the impression and create your mold key. But sometimes you can't do that, especially when you're going to be using a plaster shell. To put keys on the outside of the rubber, that's where the tray comes in handy. It's just like an ice cube tray that you pour water into before you stick it in the freezer. During my first layer, I pour the liquid rubber silicone mold material into the tray, and then after it cures, I pop those little pieces out. And then it will stick to itself. So I just stick them on the wet rubber, and then it all cures together. And that's how you create mold keys. And don't forget them, because if you don't have them, your mold will not stay together and it won't fall into place, and then the whole sculpture is just completely screwed up. So thanks for watching today. All the links are down below to all these materials. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. I will see you all next time.